every web application you test is a unique butterfly, right? They're all a little bit different, and we'll often find issues in web applications. We look at, the OWASP has a great list, right? The top 10, right? And often the things that we'll find broken in these web applications, it used to be, a lot of SQL injection and things like that, but now, we take another step farther, right? So we'll often, get like a low level user account that shouldn't have privileges to things, and then we'll test and see, hey, even though they can't see this other function, do they have access to manipulate a different function that they don't visually see? So like, say we'll get an administrator account and a non-administrator account. With the non-administrator account, we'll see, can we use the administrator functions as the non-administrative user? And more often than not, we find that we can. So we can parameter tamper, and then we can escalate our privileges. We will manipulate data that we shouldn't be able to modify. So one of the things that we've seen kind of a rash of lately is looking at a lot of APIs. So a lot of web applications these days, some of the more modern ones are doing like Angular JS or some of these where they're calling APIs, and these APIs are returning data objects in JSON format that then are being manipulated in JavaScript in order to present the front end. And a lot of the API calls are sending back way more data than necessary to the front end, and then the front end's filtering it out and then presenting only what it needs to the front end, but the user's computer is receiving all that data. I just saw a web app that recently was returning password hashes to administrator accounts. As a non-admin user, it was, I request access to an object, and that object would not only give me the object properties, but it gave me the properties of the administrator that modified that object last, and actually gave me really sensitive data like password hashes that then we could go take and crack, and then once we cracked an administrator hash, then we could actually just go log in the application as that other administrator. So as a standard user, I could gain access to privilege escalate because these API calls were sending back data that they shouldn't have been, and they were relying on the front end JavaScript to kind of filter that out, whereas it shouldn't have ever left the server in the first place. Takeaways from this are, limit the data that is being sent back to the client browser, especially for these more modern web applications that are doing API calls, right? So, audit all the objects that are being returned. Make sure that it's only sending back the data that it needs to. And whereas, we talk about least privilege, we should also talk about least data, right? Send back just a minimal amount of data that you need in order to be able to do the function necessary.